Evan Patterson play guitar and sing in Young Widows.
Nick Thieneman, I play bass and sing in Young Widows.
Of the newest album, Young Widows, which is not a studio project either.
Some of it is.
Some of it
Yeah.
is.
It's about half and half. Recorded 4 live shows on tour on the way to the studio, and then did a handful of songs in the studio. Spliced them together digitally, of course, now. But yeah, pretty happy with the way it came out. So.
Definitely.
It's kind of an unorthodox approach at like putting out a full length record.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, everything's so stale and boring now. It's like all recordings have this overproduced, super compressed, unrealistic sound, you know? And then to actually do something that is live and has some sort of energy is nice, you know?
We feel the most comfortable playing live, you know, most bands.
Yeah, and there were certain songs we wanted that unrealistic studio sound and did like 2 drum tracks and overdubs and all that kind of shit, but that wasn't, the goal was to have, you know, both sides.
Yes.
Now, I mean, you were, I guess, in more of a traditional band before, Breathe Resist, Deathwish Records. What are your recollections of those days?
Recollection as far as touring, recording?
Beef. Yeah,
The beef.
Give us the beef, brothers.
Oh, well, kind of fell apart because we had a really hard time being on tour with our singer.
Yeah. It got to the point where it's just too much for us to.
Yeah, he's a very unique individual and deserves a lot of attention that we can't always give him.
Yeah.
And at times it's just hard to be in the same van. And he's a great singer, great frontman, still a friend, but you can only take, you know, there's certain people you can be basically in the same room with for months and months and months, and you know.
And with Breather, we were touring like
A lot more.
every 2 weeks for 2 or 3 weeks, and then we come home for a week, and then you know, a week break is sometimes not enough between.
We played 180 shows one year, and the next year we played 120, and then it kind of started to, you know, fall apart.
Unfortunately.
But then we, the original drummer from Breather played with Young Widows, and then he recently, actually not recently, we were just talking about this, it was a year ago that he split off, and we have Jeremy now who's drumming in the band. And he kind of stepped in 2 months before we recorded and learned all the songs, and we wrote 3 new ones with him, and he's been a...
So that's kind
amazing.
of
Yeah.
it's really hard on him,
Yeah.
for sure, to do all that.
But yeah, Breather's an old band, so we're ready to move on.
That's it.
Yeah.
Understandably.
Old ideas.
The last question I have about, I guess, that era is that you were on Deathwish Records when the label was not brand new.
Yeah.
It's still, I guess, in its, you know, more formative stages, I guess, reputation-wise. Now it's, of course, one of the big indie players.
Yeah, it's very good.
Yeah, it's a good label. It's just we didn't want to be pegged as some sort of band that couldn't. I felt like a lot of the Deathwish bands are just hardcore bands. And I never felt like what Breather is doing is just hardcore or just punk or metal. I'm actually not a very big metal fan, and to be on a label that is associated with, you know, all like the kickboxing, moshing, and stupid shit like that, I can't relate to that in any way. And in order to let go and move past that, we kind of had to leave the label. That was the big scenarios. That was my whole issues. And the whole East Coast and West Coast hardcore scenes are a lot different than where we're from in Louisville, obviously. It's a small city, it's very laid back, and I mean the culture is completely different. I wouldn't say it's different in a good way all the time, but it's definitely different. So it was nice to put out the record on the Deathwish, and they helped out a ton.
Yeah, they helped out a whole lot.
But it's always great to work with new people and create some sort of, I don't know. It seems like I wish we could put out a record on a different label every time and have it be, everyone's excited about that, you know. But that's not going to happen. When you invest money and time into a band and then you just leave, it's kind of frustrating for the owners, I'm sure.
Yeah, it's bad for the label.
Whatever reason the band, you know, breaks up, they're always blaming the label, right?
Yeah.
Oh, they didn't support us enough on this release. But you're actually saying, you're admitting that, you know, if a band's not going to back up a release and pull it through, then they hold some of the accountability too.
Yeah, of course. I mean, I don't think it's all a label.
No, it's definitely not all the label.
I mean, unless someone's ripping the band off, that's the only scenario that I think that a label can be really at fault. But other than that, it's, you know, touring and playing shows and writing songs that are valid. You know, if you're going to sit around and write a song you've heard, you know, the same kind of hardcore song or punk song or indie rock song or country song, you know, it doesn't matter what it is. It's, if there's any kind of artistic value to it, it's up to the band more than it is the label, in my opinion.
Why do you think the coasts are so typical, I guess, in their, I guess, punk rock subculture?
It's just a different culture in general. It's you know, when we're, you know, surrounded by farms, and I mean, as stupid as it is, it's like outside of Louisville, it's farms everywhere, and the actual city of Louisville isn't a rough place by any means. And when you're raised in New York or Boston or Philadelphia or Baltimore, it's a completely different culture. And when a lot of punk and hardcore started, there was a different attitude. And all of our influences in Louisville are just, I mean, it's like we get a bit of everything coming from all directions of the country and the world, and I feel lucky in that way. It's kind of a rare thing to have, you know, the influence of seeing all the things going on both coasts and then taking it in however you want to take it.
Yeah.
You know, it's not like it's ever forced on you. There's not a lot of bands coming through Louisville. There never really has been. And the big scene in the 90s was, you know, straight edge hardcore, but in like a emotional way, not as much as a violent way. So it's been nice to be surrounded by positive influences rather than negative, violent influences or whatever you want to call it.
Take interest in certain conspiracies that are current.
Conspiracies?
Yeah.
Pretty, I think reptoids are pretty funny. Have you heard about reptoids?
Now tell us.
Yeah. It's this crazy theory that certain political figures and certain people are actually reptiles, aliens. It's really funny, but you should research it on your own and get a little more from it. It's quite interesting. And supposedly Hillary Clinton is a reptoid, so you all should look that up. Their eyes turn to slits, and yeah.
What about the candidates for presidency? Are they?
No, they're fine.
They're humans.
I mean, they're not fine.
They're humans, though.
No, they're obviously crazy. Anyone who wants to run for president is crazy.
Yeah.
But they're human.
Yeah, they're human.
Okay.
Something like that.
Okay.
A few of them are barely human, but
Yeah.
We don't want to get into political discussion.
yeah, we voted right before we left.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Because they're going to be gone. It's the 4th of next month. Should be interesting.
Yeah, very interesting.
Yeah.
Our country's on a need for change.
Yes.
In a big way. And both candidates say they're going to bring change.
Yeah. Hopefully our surroundings in the Midwest don't negatively, you know, influence the country once again with electing someone who's quite an idiot, but we'll see.
Yeah,
I'm feeling pretty good about it.
me too.
People who you support, some bands and labels who have, you know, helped you guys along.
Our new label, Temporary Residence, is a great label, and
Awesome.
he's kind of the, I was saying jokingly, it's like my Buddha right now. Anytime I, you know, I'm feeling a little anxious or need some kind of, you know, confidence build, I call him, and he's always there. And wonderful, wonderful person, and I couldn't be more excited. Full of ideas, so proactive. And
Exactly what we want.
yeah, he's pushed us to do everything we wanted to do and let us do everything we wanted to do. So it's really rare that you come across that. And he's not all business, because that's my least favorite part of all of this. Is it takes away from the art and creativity. He's very pushing towards doing whatever you want to do and the whole experience. It's great.
Definitely, you know, Russian circles,
Daughters, Coliseum,
These Arms Are Snakes, Pelican.
good friends.
Those guys have always been there to help us out and take us out.
Yeah.
You know, do good tours, play awesome shows. So, yeah.